Fix an issue where Shadow Meld did not stop your own Starfall, yada yada, boring, boring. Wait, Dragon Roar now deals 20% increased damage? Dragon Warrior Slam damage increased by 30%? Is it time to bust out the Dragon Warrior? Yeah, that feels pretty good to play. Let's talk about that. Hey everyone, Shikari Dill here, and today I'm going to be showcasing my Dragon Warrior build. I've kind of been sitting on this build for a while now, and I've been waiting for the perfect time to kind of showcase this build, and what better timing than with the recent buffs. Honestly, I've been having so much fun with this build. It's been so satisfying popping that Dragon's Roar and seeing huge numbers. Before, I would say this build was a bit underwhelming, but now it's an absolute blast to play. If you enjoy this form of content, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, and without further ado, let's jump right into Dragon Warrior. So right off at level 1, usually I do take charge, but this is one of the few times in a melee build that I don't grab charge at level 1. This is because you're going to want to grab intercept because it turns into an ability called Dragon Charge later. Dragon Charge does feel a little bit underwhelming, but I'll get to that later. For abilities at level 1, you could take Blood Rage, though you really shouldn't run into many rage issues. You could also grab Heroic Strike, but really just take any warrior ability at level 1 that could be useful for you. I took Rend just to sprinkle a little bit of extra damage in there, but it's not essential. You could also grab Battle Stance. The extra armor pen is always pretty nice. But the most important thing you should do at level 1 for this build is take the Death Wish skill card. It's absolutely massive for this build. It's essential. This is basically the ability that turns into Dragon Roar. Your entire rotation revolves around this for big damage, so you're gonna want to take that skill card. Rockbiter Weapon is another solid skill card choice for this build. The extra attack power is pretty nice. I wouldn't be surprised if this build could work with Titan's Grip with a big focus on Whirlwind for big damage, so I could see that as an option for a skill card. But just know that my version of this build just goes with a single standard two-handed weapon. The abilities you're going to want to look for while leveling are Slam, Execute, and Bloodthirst, as those form your core rotation. You can really go for any legendary ability you like based on your playstyle preference, but I would assume that Bladestorm is probably a very go-to and decent legendary ability for Dragon Warrior. Now for my epic enchants, I took Here Comes the Big One. Every 4th Bloodthirst deals double its damage. I took Battering Ram. Your slam ignores 10% of your target's armor, which is pretty solid given that our slam hits pretty dang hard now. And a Quick Death, which makes our execute give us a 3% haste buff stacking up to 5 times. This usually never falls off because I also take the enchant Sudden Death, which allows the talent to proc more often. For talents, Improved Slam is pretty important, as that's going to be one of our main core rotation abilities. I also took the whole bleed package, which includes Deep Wounds, Blood Frenzy, and Trauma. You can put points into Improved Rend if you want, but that's optional. In fact, I would say the entire bleed talent package is kind of optional. It's just kind of like how I like to play my warrior build. Obviously, you are going to want to take Sudden Death. I also took Blood Surge as well, as you'll take advantage of that every so often. And then Unending Fury is also a pretty good talent as it buffs quite a few of our abilities. But I'll put a link to my talents down below if you want to take a look and see what I've done with my version of this build. So basically the idea of the build is your Execute and Bloodthirst will empower your next slam to be instant, give you a stacking damage buff for your Dragon Roar, as well as reduce its cooldown. A cool effect of having 3 of these stacks is that Dragon Roar will also stun all targets around you as well. So basically the way I set up my build is you want to execute on Sudden Death procs, but if you've got no immediate procs to use, just use Bloodthirst into Slam instead. I do that rotation about 3 times until I pop the big Dragon Roar, which is super satisfying. And if you have Rend, make sure that doesn't fall off. Alright, we got a dungeon here, not too bad. We're just going to jump right in here, we're going to just see how Dragon Warrior feels. I'm really not fully into PvE power. I'm kind of half and half right now. As you can see, I've got a little bit of PvP power. I really need to get some more PvE gear, so that's going to be the goal of this dungeon. Whoa, this is not a good start. What is going on? Which then procs our slams, which then reduces the cooldown. Woo! Look at that damage. Holy moly. Those are some huge numbers. That was some pretty insane damage. Holy crap, guys. So we really just want to make sure that we get the cooldown on our Dragon WARR off, so we can pop Dragon WARR and then just make sure we keep rend up on our target. Every time we get an empowered slam, we just want to make sure that we get those procs going. Ooh, we're getting some pretty big numbers here for basically having like half PvP gear. This is some pretty nutty damage. These buffs are insane. Okay guys, so it looks like that last dungeon kind of fell apart. Wasn't sure if it was a healer or a tank issue or what was going on there, but that's alright. We're just going to be going into another dungeon here. Now you're probably asking yourself, Shikari, why do you have a pet on a Dragon Warrior build? Well, that's because this build initially was going to be a melee pet build, until I decided to just completely pivot to a Dragon Warrior, and I had already picked up Bestial Wrath. And using Bestial Wrath isn't a total loss, because when we actually activate that ability thanks to the talent The Beast Within, we gain a nice 15% damage boost. So it's not a total loss, and I kind of like the pet. It's useful utility-wise. Yeah, not a total loss. So while I'm running around waiting for this dungeon to pop, I did say Dragon Charge is a bit underwhelming to use. It really is, but what you're really using it for is the 15% damage increase for 5 seconds afterwards. Now, if you want further proof of this, I'm going to use Dragon Charge to just run into the Scorpion here. I mean, it just doesn't feel impactful, in my opinion. It just feels kind of weird. I would honestly prefer to have like a charge or an intercept that just dashes you to your target. Because the Dragon Charge does feel pretty much unimpactful. But that's alright. Basically, what you want to use it for is upon impact, you deal fire damage, slows your targets for by 60% for 3 seconds, and again, you get that 15% damage buff, which you can use to open up with Dragon Roar. So you can get that Dragon Roar damage buff right out the gate, and then you can start stacking the damage of Dragon Roar and get that rotation going. So, just thought I would show you guys right here. Alright, so we're in this next dungeon here. We're gonna get some footage here. I'm gonna tear it up as Dragon Warrior. Look at this weak Dragon Charge. Look at that, so underwhelming. I did take Divine Storm because, I don't know, extra AOE is always nice, always fun. I like the mix up. Basically, you could just do Whirlwind with Divine Storm. Pretty decent AOE there. Because Divine Storm does deal damage based on your weapon. So, as long as you've got a pretty solid two-handed weapon, you should be okay taking the Divine Storm. Do keep in mind, taking Divine Storm does take up a rare spot, so if you think extra AoE is important to you, then maybe taking Divine Storm could be a decent option for you. Okay, so what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to charge into them with Dragon Charge. Again, it feels kind of unimpactful. Whee! And then you Dragon Roar, get the buff going, and then I like to pop my AoE abilities, and boom, there you go. And then from here, you basically just want to reduce the cooldown of your Dragon's Roar as much as possible. See how we got an Empowered Slam in there, we got another one in there, and now if these mobs were still up, hopefully we can do it on here. Let's see. And you just pop the big, boom, there it is, 13k, 13k, 14k. Another good example of some massive AoE damage once you buff up that Dragon's Roar. It's a lot of fun, guys. I would really recommend it. Well, if you wanted to, you could even throw a Thunderclap into that rotation as well. But, I mean, honestly, we just got a lot going on for our AoE with Whirlwind, Divine Storm, Dragon's Roar. Like, this build slams so hard for AoE damage. Like, this is really good. The thing about the AoE though is there's definitely going to be some ramp time with getting those stacks of your empowered Dragon's Roar. So a lot of times it can feel kind of bad when the groups of mobs die super quickly, but if you're doing like high M+ level content, that won't be an issue. You're going to have plenty of time to get your Dragon's Roar stacks back up and running. So for instance, we want to get our Dragon stacks up. Okay, Dragon's Roar is up. Okay. Wasn't fully empowered that time, but that's okay. Yeah, this build could definitely benefit from tracking all the buffs using Weak Aura. You're definitely going to want to get weak aura to track your Dragon's Roar buff as well as your sudden death procs, because that all will contribute to like basically most of your damage. Guys, is it just me or is there like a really clear lack of strength gear in TBC? Like everything that drops in TBC is a spell power gear. Like what's up with that? I just want to Unga Bunga smash things as a warrior build. Which, speaking of which, I feel like there's a distinct like lack of unique warrior builds, which is why I've been having so much fun with Dragon Warrior. Like think about it, we really only see arms warrior builds with Demolisher or Tools of War or maybe Heavyweight, and that's about it. I guess you could say the Thunder Slam build is kind of a hybrid, like, warrior build, but come on. Real Giga Chad warriors don't use magic, okay? Wait, what is my pet doing over there? He's just kind of doing his own thing. And there it is. Come on, please be warrior gear, warrior gear. Spell power gear again? Are you kidding me? Dude, there's no strength gear in TBC. What's up with that? Dude, living that warrior life is tough on here, dude. Guys, we're seeing 13k numbers pop up, and we've got like half our gear Bloodforged. So, I mean, all I'm saying is there's real potential here with this build hitting very hard in full PvE gear. If I can get away with getting one piece of gear from this, I'll be happy. Because right now, it is really difficult to get anything. I don't know what's going on with tanks these days, but we're having some serious tank issues here. That's alright, there might be some people who are new to Ascension and still trying to figure out their builds. Don't be discouraged, okay, new tanks? We need you more than ever. We have a lack of tanks and healers on this server right now, so please, don't give up. Just keep at it. We need you, tanks. Let's go and see what this build is really made of right here. So we get some cooldown on our Dragon's Roar, as well as stacking it up 3 times. And then here's the big one. Boom, we got a big Dragon Roar out. Okay, big execute. Here we go. And boom. Another big Dragon Roar, and there it is. I'll take the bow with the attack power and the rating. It's pretty nice. That's better than our PvP power throwing knife, so that's pretty good. But guys, we did like 3.8k DPS single target, which honestly for having Bloodforged gear isn't that bad. Not bad at all. I suspect this build could easily push 5k, 6k DPS when it's really geared and min-maxed with PvE gear. So I'm really excited to like continue working on this build. So after playing around with the Dragon Warrior build, this has probably been one of my favorite warrior type builds on Ascension so far. It's been an absolute blast and I can't wait to really dive into min-maxing this build and gearing it out so I can take it into harder endgame content like Mythic Plus. So after giving Dragon Warrior a spin, me hit things hard but brain work no good, I give 4 out of 5 Giga Chads. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, please hit that like and sub button, and I will see you all in the next video.